The I-Team is on your side with live interactive coverage beginning soon. The I-Team is on your side right now.
Well, hello everyone there in Facebook land. This is Dan Lamparello with the CBS13 I-Team. We're coming to you from our new digital studio that's just outside of our newsroom that you can see everyone out in the background there getting ready for our 5 o'clock newscast. But I'm joining you this afternoon for a story that's going to be coming up tonight at 6 that we've been working on for the past few months. Our team has been looking into the use of body cameras across the state of Maine. And I want to be able to bring you guys an interactive look at what that is like. So first, in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. Hoping to hear from you about where you are in the state of Maine and, what's important to you that you want us to look into or investigate next. But tonight we're talking about body cameras, and I'll put up a little video here so you guys can see what we're talking about. Police agencies, we've been hearing about it for years now, that body cameras are the new technology for officers. They had dash cameras in the cruisers before. Now it's body-worn cameras. And they're a big part of policing, a big part of transparency and all of that. So it's a big thing that we wanted to look into. How many departments across the state of Maine are currently using this technology, from sheriff's offices to local police departments? It was a big talker when we brought it up in our newsroom, and we hope to do a little bit more digging to find out how many agencies are actually utilizing this technology, how much it costs. That was a huge factor in all of this, and what role it plays in investigations as well as transparency for those departments. I'm seeing a lot of you chime in here, saying hello from Auburn, from Belmont, Leamington, and Standish. Appreciate you guys all joining in. And I'm going to put up another banner here talking just a little bit about what agencies you want to know about when it comes to their use of body cameras. I'm going to share my screen here with you in 1 second. That's going to show the database that we were able to compile. I was able to spend the past few months basically calling 130 different agencies. I didn't even realize we had that many police departments here in the state of Maine. From local police departments to sheriff's offices. Those are all law enforcement agencies. We also have the state police. We have the Maine game wardens. We have the DEA here in the state, Maine Capitol Police, a lot of agencies I didn't even think about. We've all compiled into this list, which we're going to actually have up on our website starting at 6 o'clock when this story airs. So leave your name in the comments down here, what you want to know about the agencies in your community, for instance. This database, I can search, tell you if they use body cameras or dash cameras. And this was a huge part of our investigation, looking at, which agencies do and don't, and why the ones that don't have them right now, if they're looking at getting them or if they don't want them at all, what the reasoning is behind a lot of that. So I see somebody talking about Auburn. So let's put that in here first. Thanks, Cameron, for adding that in here. Let's put Auburn Police. So you can see right there on your screen, Auburn Police both uses dash cameras and body cameras. When I talked with the chief there, they've done this for quite a while. They invested in the dash cameras first and then into the body cameras. And I believe the chief told me that they actually covered part of it through the budget, but also through federal grants. And that was something that we heard a lot about, was the cost related to these. The cameras themselves can cost upwards of $1,000 a piece. And then you have to buy servers and storage for all the video on top of that. So these implementing this technology can actually turn into a, into the six figures number. If you look at a department like Portland, which has, dozens of officers, obviously much smaller for smaller departments, but the larger your agency, the more expensive that it's going to be. That's a good question from Donna here. I'm going to put it up on the screen. How long does this video stay in their system? And that's a great question. And it all depends on the agency. All these agencies have policies that are related to the use of body cameras or dash cameras, and all of them have to have a retention policy when it comes to that video. I was talking about the storage being the most expensive part. That's because they have to store these videos for long periods of time. Just in case something comes up related to an investigation a few years down the line, they want to be able to go back and look at some of this video. But to answer Donna's question, basically it varies by agency. And I'm going to be able to go into that a lot more during our 6 o'clock show, as well as on our website. Once the story is published, we go into some of that. So Donna, thanks for asking that question. Let's ask for Margaret. She's asking, what about Waldoboro? So let's put that name into our database here. So Waldo comes up with both the Waldo County Sheriff's Office and Waldoboro Police. Right now, Waldoboro Police doesn't use either dash cameras or body cameras. So they're one of the agencies that is currently not utilizing any of this technology. And we've seen, the vast majority of departments across the state, they did have body cameras and they have implemented the technology. I would say about 65% we found of local police departments, that's your Portland, your South Portland, your Waldoboro, are using body cameras. About 62% of sheriff's offices, that's your Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, Kennebec, all the county deputies, about 62% of those agencies are currently using body cameras. And that's something we'll go into later in tonight's story at 6. You can see down there at the scroll, that's when this story is going to air. We devoted a good amount of our newscast to it coming up at 6 o'clock right off the top. So you'll be able to tune in then. Here's a question from Cameron. Does Lewiston use these? Well, let's head right over to our search bar. Lewiston Police does. They both use dash cameras and body cameras. So they have a combo. And if you're just joining us, the difference between the two of those body cameras, I'll actually show you some video of what they look like. They attach right to a deputy or a police officer's uniform, and they kind of move with them. So it shows their visual as they're walking up to a scene, talking with a suspect, any of those types of interactions that police have. They have to usually turn those on right before they have those interactions. Dash cameras, on the other hand, are stagnant. They sit above a dash on a cruiser, the police cruiser, like you can see here in York County. They have them. And they have a little microphone that attaches to their uniform so they can still pick up audio. And you can see this is what the visual of a dash camera shows right here. So that's the difference between a body camera and a dash camera. Cameron, thanks for asking about Lewiston. Justin is asking about Bridgeton, I believe. Yeah, here it is, Bridgeton. Let's go back to our database here and type that in. So Bridgeton Police right now doesn't utilize either. But I did talk with the chief there, and I believe they're going to be looking at trying to get the budget to purchase these in the future. That's something we heard from a lot of different agencies, was just the cost associated with it. So that's the reason why they have not implemented them yet. Basically, they're waiting on either federal or state grants to cover a lot of those expensive pieces of equipment, or they're just waiting for the budget process to come up in their community where they'll be able to ask for those as part of the regular budget process through taxpayers and that sort of thing. So to answer Justin's question, Bridgeton right now does not utilize those. Actually, I'm sorry. I misspelled Bridgeton. It was Millbridge that does not use them right now. So Justin, I apologize for that. Bridgeton is a yes on both. So just to clarify, Bridgeton using both dash cam and body camera, and Millbridge, small community up there, not using either of them right now. But this database is something I really was excited to put together, especially for you at home. Because once this story airs at 6 o'clock tonight, you're going to be able to go on our website, WGME.com, and you're going to be able to search through this for your own hometown. It's an interactive way for you to look at all the research that we were able to compile and make it user-friendly for you at home. So if you're curious, if your local police department or your local sheriff's office is using these, it's something right now that you can go on and search for. Now, the reason that we wanted to do this story, we heard from some family members who lost loved ones in police-involved shootings. And I know the I-Team has covered this quite a bit in the past, the investigations that go on into those police-involved shootings. And a lot of times video helps with those investigations. But I want you to hear from a mother who we spoke to. Her son was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy down in York County back in 2017. They do not right now have body cameras. They do have dash cameras, however, but this was not caught on video. So she feels like she didn't have closure after what happened. So she's hoping that body cameras will catch on in the state of Maine to help give families closure when it comes to these types of investigation. Here's what she told us when we sat down last week.
We need our law enforcement. So we need the transparency, and we need to show families that, yes, if an incident happens, this is what I have to show you, and I can help you through this.
And that was the big thing we heard when it came to body cameras and the use of camera technology in general was the word transparency, both on the police side as well as people who were involved in crimes. They say it helps tell a better picture of what happens on a scene of a call. The police departments we spoke to, I'll bring up Sabatis, for instance. You'll hear from the chief there tonight, Eric Baker. And he talked a lot about how his officers, love this technology. A lot of them are new to law enforcement and, they're used to camera phones. They're used to other cameras and technologies. So they've embraced the use of body cameras because they feel like it helps just tell the whole picture. He told us 9 times out of 10, it's going to capture everything that went on during a call. So he's embraced that technology. But again, it's a cost aspect in all of this. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight at 6, is just the sheer amount of money that these little cameras that you see up there cost to implement. But the surprising thing, and I'll bring back our database up here, one agency we talked to as well was Thomaston Police. They don't have dash cameras. They phased those out in favor of adding body cameras. And the reason they did that was because it was a cost-saving measure. They figured the body cameras were more versatile, so they had decided to take the money that they would have invested in more dash cameras and add them to body cameras. And they're a small agency. They only have about 3 or 4 full-time officers, but they were lucky that they were able to find a grant to cover that process. So a lot of the smallest departments in the state of Maine have this technology right now, which they believe is both helping them and the public. So again, I'm excited for you to get online and check out this database. The web story on WGME.com is going to be posted at 6 o'clock after the story airs. And again, we wanted to make sure that we were able to interact with you with this type of story. All this investigation that we did over the past few months is all compiled into that spreadsheet. So I want to make sure people are going to be able to use this when they get there. Cameron is asking, as Oxford has a couple of full-time officers, do they use these? Well, Cameron, let's take a look. The Oxford County Sheriff's Office right now does not have dash cameras, but they are in the process of adding body cameras. Sheriff Wainwright, who is up there, told me that they're also about to implement them. They've purchased the technology. They just haven't fully rolled it out yet. But then the town of Oxford, their police department uses both. They have dash cameras and body cameras. So even small agencies like the town of Oxford, their police department, they've invested in all of this technology. Perfect. So I'll put some video back up here so you guys can see what we're talking about again for those just joining us about the body camera systems that we wanted to investigate. And the reason we wanted to do this was because of the transparency issue. No one has ever tracked the use of these before. So this is the first time a database like this has been brought up in the state of Maine. The first time we're getting a comprehensive look at who's using these and who's not. And one question we just got from John is Joseph. This is the question I wanted to bring up. I'm sorry. We're going to go through the comments. There's a couple people asking about Old Orchard Beach and Biddeford. I'll get to those in 1 second on our dashboard. But Donna brought up a really good question here. Can the public have a right to see these videos? And the answer is yes, but there's a process first that has to be gone through. And a lot of departments have different policies for this. Technically, the video is available under a FOIA request, which is part of the Freedom of Information Act that the state of Maine has for this type of like police reports, public documents. Dash cam and body camera videos fall under that in a sense. We've been able to get body camera video in the past through different requests from the Attorney General's office, but only after an investigation is underway. They release that within a couple of months of an officer-involved shooting happened. So for Donna, the answer is a little complicated, but yes, the public does have a certain right to see some of these videos.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go back to Joseph here. He was asking both about Biddeford and Old Orchard Beach. So let's bring up our database here one more time, and I'll bring up Biddeford Police. Biddeford Police uses both. And when I talked to Joanne over there, their deputy chief, she told us that basically they have had these for years. I believe since the early 2010s, like I'd say 2011, 2012 is when they started implementing these in Biddeford. So they were one of the early adopters of this technology. Now, he also asked about Old Orchard Beach. Old Orchard Beach, the bottom of this spreadsheet right there, they use both as well. And Old Orchard Beach, is a mid-sized department. They have a lot of part-time officers, but they do have this technology, which I'm sure helps them when it's busy down on the boardwalk down there with police interaction with the public. So thank you, Joseph, for asking that question. Also for Donna for asking the question about the public's right to know, because that's a huge part of this was the transparency aspect of all of this. So the database is up here. Like I said, it's going to be up at 6 o'clock tonight after our story airs on CBS 13. I'm excited to bring the reporting to you guys because these are questions that we get a lot from our viewers. And I'm going to put down at the bottom of the scroll there our tip line for the I-Team. Marissa and I get a lot of these ideas from you at home. So anything that you're feeling we need to look into next, if you're having a consumer issue, stuff like that, send us an email. The email's right there scrolling at the bottom because we want to make sure we look into it. If it wasn't for you, our viewers, we wouldn't be able to get, stories like this that hopefully can make some impactful change across the state of Maine. So the database you see here, again, is going to be up at 6 o'clock tonight. Our story on body cameras, tracking who's using them, who's not, the barriers in place. It's all going to air tonight at 6 here on CBS 13. I really hope you'll join us then. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us here on Facebook, our new digital studio. We're still getting the hang of all this, but I'm happy that we're able to have a good conversation and make sure we get all of this important information out there to you guys. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you at 6.